Welcome to Checks and Balances. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair. And this week, super important, very common financial scams.
So last year, 5.8 billion. That's with a B. Oh, nice. $5.8 billion was lost to scams last year. That's up 70% from 2020. Mike, we're a long way from the Western Union scams.
Yeah, look, it's a bit of an interesting topic, right? Because one of the main things that scammers prey on is the fact that people don't talk about it because they're embarrassed. And actually, a lot of people get scammed. It's not just your stupid hillbilly cousin from Taranaki who's got 3 teeth and doesn't know how to use internet banking.
He is an idiot, though.
Yeah, most people can fall victim to these because they play on people's confidence and trust.
Yeah, and if you think, oh, that won't happen to me, you just need to be really switched on about what to look for and making sure you know kind of what can happen.
Yeah.
And the reality is scammers are getting smarter and smarter. They're getting more and more sophisticated. So it's always nice to start with a story.
Yeah.
So Mike, it's a relatively long story, but it's a really good one. Do you want to take us through it?
Yeah, so this one is about a father in New Zealand who lost $700,000 in an investment scam. So pretty much the story begins with a cold call from someone at Synergy Capital Asset Management who are based out of Hong Kong. He was offered pre-IPO shares, which is shares in a company before it's gone public or listed or before they blow up and make a lot of money. Very attractive if you can get in there.
Huge upside.
Absolutely. The call proposed a small $8,000 initial investment, and that sort of establishes trust, right? Small incremental step there. The dad said at that time he was just playing around. He said, I didn't bother myself too much about it. $8,000, well, if I lose that, I've learned my lesson. It's not going to sink me. A week later, he got another call. This person had a London accent or a British accent, great talker, used a lot of technical jargon, really sounded like he knew his stuff, so creating a bit of trust there. In 2021, the dad's local bank blocked him from sending Michael, to be in person, who was overseas, $55,000, warning that it could be a scam, and suggested that he check the entity was licensed to trade with Kiwi investors. So banks doing their bit there. But Michael, the overseas investment banker,
very good response,
said, look, banks do this all the time. They don't like money going offshore. They just want to control the money in New Zealand. And a lot of my customers in New Zealand have these problems with the bank.
Can I just quickly stop you in the story? The scary bit about this is when we're setting up investment portfolios for clients, I always tell them, look, you're transferring a lot of money. They'll probably ask why you're transferring this much money and where's it going to. Just know it's very usual to get asked those questions, and the scammers ask that as well. So
I say a very similar thing where I say, look, you're transferring funds for your deposit. Just make sure you give the bank a call and raise the limit on your internet banking, which is a safety cap, which stops people gutting your accounts.
Comes back to they're smart. They know what they're doing.
Well, it's trusting as well, right? So anyway, he kind of finished up and said, look, once you've done this a few times, they'll know you, they know who I am. You just have to put up with it for now. It'll be fine. So of course, because he trusts the person, the dad accepted this. He did ask about other things that didn't sit right with him, though. He said, how many people work at your place? The scammer, Michael, said about 55. Dad said, look, none of them have a LinkedIn address. And Michael said, we don't advertise like that. Definitely a red flag.
Yep.
Michael managed to talk his way back into the dad's life after this sort of a little bit of Q&A there because there were some red flags. Despite these red flags, though, the dad continued to send money for what he thought was the purchase of more shares and kept getting glowing reports about how much money he was making, the returns. It was all going really well. Around this time, the dad started speaking to his daughter, Kate, about investing in the scheme as well, showed some of the reports, how much money he was making. And when, his daughter sort of had some questions about this. And when a family member is getting scammed, you keep hoping that it's not true, says the daughter, but there were just too many red flags to be convinced. Otherwise, when I saw my father had been asked to transfer money to different countries all around the world, she knew it was a scam. The kicker here, though, is that she then pointed out the major red flag in this entire saga had been hiding in plain sight, right? Synergy Capital Asset Management spells scam.
Oh.
And by this time, the dad had actually burnt around 700 grand with these scammers, and took the complaint to the authorities around the world, Hong Kong, etc., etc. He will never see that money again. It is toast, totally gone.
Yeah. And so you might go, well, I mean, it was in the name, right? Let me tell you another quick story. In 2009, a financial advisor at ASB, very large, people trust banks, right?
Yeah.
They're banks, they have good regulation, they're too big to fail, all of that kind of stuff. A financial advisor at ASB stole $17.8 million from his clients, where he was promising huge returns to these people. He was in his mid-50s. He was an experienced financial advisor. And then he would create reports for them and go, look how much money you were making. And when anybody needed money back out, he would just pay them from one of the other clients. So he would go to one of the tellers and go, hey, can I use was it terminal for a little bit?
Terminate, yep.
And transfer money to one client and take it, kind of move the money around. And this is in a banking structure, right? Granted, I don't think it could happen right now. I'd like to think it could happen right now.
I'd say it probably could, which is the really kind of sad thing, is that, we've both worked in banks, and they're very, very regulated down to like how often you have to take holiday and how long it's for, so that they can catch this. But people find a way, right? Dishonest people find a way. And that particular example is actually an example of what we call a Ponzi scheme. It's not a traditional Ponzi scheme because it's operating inside of another entity, a bank, but because the scammer was taking money from one victim and then paying other victims using that money, because he would make regular interest payments to these customers off other money that he was getting in. That's actually a Ponzi scheme.
Yep. $17.8 million. Spent $3.5 million on two hookers.
Yeah,
that's 100%. A lot. Yeah.
So some of the characteristics of these Ponzi schemes are obviously that they use the money that's keeping being invested. Once the money stops, though, or there's a run on the scheme, they don't have enough money to cover all of the liabilities or the payments that they have to make, and it collapses. The most famous Ponzi scheme has got to be Bernie Madoff, who over decades stole billions of dollars off of his customers. And if you've ever seen the Madoff story, it starts with him getting into trouble. He's a genuine investment advisor, gets into trouble, can't make the returns, starts a Ponzi scheme, just being like, oh, this will cover me until I get a couple of wins back on the board and I'll cover all the losses, which is actually very similar to how the guy inside ASB started. He started taking losses, personal losses, and used money to cover it. And all of a sudden, we've got a Ponzi scheme.
Yep. And they can seem very legit, can't they?
Yeah, and often these people are sophisticated, right? Bernie Madoff, very sophisticated. An investment advisor at ASB, probably very sophisticated. So that's how these people get scammed.
Yeah, cool. All right, Mike, maybe talk to us a little bit about a boiler room scam.
Yeah, of course. So boiler room scams are pretty much where a team of people or a person will cold call you from an office somewhere, usually a temporary office, and they are offering non-existent or totally worthless or overpriced investments, mainly shares, right? And, maybe even crypto these days. Digital currencies are really sort of big place for scams. Effectively, what they will do is cold call you, get the money once, and then after, a week, 2 weeks, a month, they shut up shop, shut the whole operation down, and change locations. So high pressure sales tactic, making it seem like you're the one that's missing out. You're the idiot for not climbing into this investment. And then in a week, poof, they're gone.
Yep. And very similar also to share scams, where pretty much you're going, hey, I've got this really good opportunity. You got to get involved. They get you buy into it, but they never buy the shares on your behalf. And you might not even own them. They might not even own them. They might be at inflated prices.
Yeah.
It's just not good.
A lot of the times you never actually buy any underlying asset. So we're talking about scams, and all of these scams sound quite similar, right? Where you're not investing into anything. They're cold calling you. You might not know about, never heard from Capital Asset Management in Hong Kong before. A different type of scam is potentially high risk products, right? And a high risk product doesn't necessarily mean they're scamming you with the investment. You may be buying the underlying asset. But if you think about crypto, foreign exchange, binary options, all of these can end up being a scam where actually the amount of money that you're investing, the clip that they're taking, or the underlying risk of the asset is completely different to what you've been sold.
Yeah, in Wolf of Wall Street, where they had, was it pink?
Penny stocks.
Yeah, penny stocks, and they clip 50% of the value as a commission. Ooh. Yeah.
Wow.
Recovery scams. They're probably quite a well-known one. The Nigerian prince is, sitting there in his mansion with all his money and going, I just need you to transfer me some money.
Yeah.
You send me a little bit of money, then I can send all of this money to you. We're related and I've got $18 million for to pay out to you. That's a pretty well-known one, isn't it?
Yeah, look, and it's a bit of a funny one, right? Because everyone knows it. Everyone is like, oh man, I know the Nigerian prince story. I would never fall for that. There's a reason they're still around.
Yeah.
People are still falling for it. It's not necessarily your grandma who's using Facebook for the first time. A really common form of recovery scam is selling goods online or buying goods online, through websites like eBay, TradeMe, Alibaba, where you might be selling or buying a good, the payment is made or the good is sent, but the funds never clear.
Yep. The other one is social media contact scams. I'm not sure if this is the same one, but what I want to talk about is the click the link in my bio type scams, where essentially, and this probably comes back to our financial advisors reacting to TikTok episodes where somebody is going, hey, I've made all of this money, click my link in the bio to learn out how I did it. And they're just taking your money. That's a scam.
There's actually a really cool story out there. Well, not cool story out there at the moment, but a story about a property guru investor in the States who has just gone under, and I think it's around 17 billion that he's gone under with. And it was like a property syndication, click the link in my bio sort of thing. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. But yeah, again, it's not your grandma getting scammed. Anybody can get scammed. Yeah,
the Tinder swindler, the romance type scams. We've all seen those where people have gone, hey, I've fallen in love with this person online. There's probably two different versions of this, right? That I've fallen in love with somebody online and I need you to send me some money. I'm in trouble. Yeah. And then there's the Tinder swindler, which was the I'm in person, like met them in person. Yeah. I'm really rich. Come on my helicopters. I'll share this lavish lifestyle.
It's a Ponzi scheme though.
Yeah. Hey, I've gotten in all this trouble. They're coming for my life. Can you send me some money so I can sort this out?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily to that Tinder swindler level. There was a guy in Australia who was meeting girls on Tinder, taking them on dates. He would look for opportunities to get on their phone while they were in the toilet if they left their phone unlocked, or he would watch them put their code in. He would then go into their bank accounts, transfer all the money out to his bank account or to his TAB account and lose it all. I think he was like over $100,000.
Yeah. Crazy the Tinder swindler didn't go to jail either.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
What else have we got in here, Mike?
Cool. So I guess some of the other sort of quick ones, pump and dump schemes are really, really common. And we see this a lot in the crypto space. And I don't want to just bang on about crypto being a scam, but a lot of it is. And the pump and dump is where what will happen is you get a fraudster, knowingly or unknowingly, will start spreading false information or advertising about a particular security or stock. Or even company to a degree, I guess you could put that in. Think FTX and everybody, Stephen Curry was it. They had famous NFL players as well talking about it. Effectively what they do is they spread misinformation or pump up the value of it through spreading information. Investors rush in. Everybody who was originally in the investment cashes out. The price crashes. They've made their money. Everyone else is left holding the bag.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about the FTX situation where money was going in, money was meant to be being stored onto a platform, and then was being siphoned off to this other investment account, whatever intentions behind it, and then losing it all and trying to keep the music going.
Yeah. And I'm not sure what it is. I would say over the last 2 weeks, I've probably had about 10 text messages from New Zealand Post, from BNZ Bank, from Kiwi Bank, from your package was delivered, from you've got to pay GST on an international package.
I'm getting the one all the time at the moment. Your driver's license or your rego or something's about to expire.
Yeah.
Maybe it's true. Maybe my rego is about okay, so I guess the question is, right, we've talked for a little while about all of these ways that people can take your money. The question is, what can people do?
Yeah, cool. So the first one is ignore uninvited investment offers. If someone cold calls you and says, I've got this opportunity, I want you to invest in it, just ignore it.
Yeah.
We run investment services, we advertise, we do not cold call people and ask them to throw money into a fund somewhere.
Yeah. I also, when we're setting up investment portfolios, because people giving me their life savings, right? And I get phone calls the next day after they've transferred the money a lot going, hey, James, nothing to say. Just want to make sure you pick up the phone and you haven't buggered off to Tahiti.
Yeah.
But the thing we say to clients all the time, here are 3 independent ways you can verify the bank account that you're transferring money into, which is really important. With the ASB person, the way he got tipped off was he was the only point of contact for any of these people. Like, deal with somebody else in the business. Make sure you've got multiple contacts. Make sure there's multiple phone numbers that you can call. Just probably, in 2023, you've got to be a little bit skeptical, right?
Yeah, and I think a really easy way to do some checks on the business is look for how are they advertising? What is their online presence? What is their presence in the market? Do they have Google reviews? Can you see a few of them on LinkedIn? It's just about does a normal business have this footprint? And if the person is saying to you, no, we fly under the radar because this is a really special investment opportunity, think, why are they calling me for the special investment opportunity? Why aren't they speaking to the head of, I don't know, an investment fund out of Dubai?
Yeah.
You've just got to be yes, skeptical, but a little bit realistic about the situation. And the issue is everyone wants to be Bernie Madoff. Everyone wants the next stock pick. Maybe not Bernie Madoff. Everyone wants.
Where are we going with this?
Everyone wants to be really wealthy. Everyone wants the quick elevator up to the top instead of taking the stairs. And unfortunately, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah. And in summary, if it's too good to be true, it probably is the big thing, right?
Yeah.
If, the whole outperforming the market thing, that doesn't last. You've just got to be honest with yourself and go, wow, is it my financial advisor in Timaru amazing? Probably not. Like, maybe he's a good dude, but he's not like tripling the market return consistently going forward. It's probably a scam.
Yeah, 100%. Next quick tip, use a license or a financial service provider that is registered. You can check government body registers in pretty much most countries around the world. And if they don't have a register, you probably don't want to be investing out of that country. We're both listed on the FSPR. Our companies are both listed on the FSPR. You can find out about James, myself, our employees. You can find out about who our independent complaints people are, because we both have independent complaints companies that if you have an issue with us, they will actually try and mediate it and sort
Why
it
got
out.
an issue? We're good dudes.
Oh yeah, I know. But there's information there on registers and that's a global thing. That's not just a New Zealand thing. That's the States. That's England. That's everywhere around the world. So again, you should be looking on registers for investment professionals if they're offering you advice.
Cool. And the next bit is checking in with family, friends before making a decision. So if you're thinking about doing something, make sure you don't listen to old mate crazy Uncle Bob at the barbecue wants you to invest into gold. But just talk to people and go, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Although I'm also thinking about the amount of conversations that leads to a lack of action.
Yeah. If you are listening to Uncle Bob at the barbecue, just check the FSPR register. And if he's not on there as a registered financial advisor, maybe don't listen to him.
And on the family piece as well, everybody is susceptible to scams, but the reality is the older you are, probably the bigger the risk.
Yeah.
So make sure that you're talking to, like, if your parents are older or you've got older friends or your grandparents are around, making sure you look after them as well. And you're talking about all of these different things and how they can happen. Awareness is probably just a really big starting point, right?
And again, it's like I said at the top of the episode, they prey on the fact that you are not going to go and talk to people about this because you're embarrassed. So you've got to make sure that you are having conversations with people about that. If you're in charge of their estate, or if it's your grandma, or that sort of thing, or if you think, hey, my dad seems to be really into this weird investment in Papua New Guinea for some reason, maybe have a chat to them about it. But I think underlying here, right, like I sort of said, everyone wants to get wealthy. Everyone wants to take the elevator to the top of the tower instead of taking the stairs. Unfortunately, there is no shortcut. even if you are investing in really good investments, it's going to take time. You can't do it overnight. If someone's promising you overnight success, it's usually a scam.
There's no better way to end than right there. Please subscribe, please review, and we will catch you next time.
Cheers.